we'll get the notice that the other one is not working. It's not working, so we move to this channel instead. So I'm going to wait for a little bit before we kind of get started. Wait about 5 minutes or so.
Hello.
To see.
Hello.
Guys, we'll get the notice that the other one is not working. It's not working, so we move to this channel instead. So I'm going to wait for a little bit before we kind of get started. Looks like some people are having troubles with the link. So let me see here. Let me try again. Looks like some people are having troubles with the link. So let me see. Okay. So I'm getting some more people in here. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Let me just grab my paper real quick. I was too busy kind of troubleshooting and didn't have time to grab all my stuff. We got. That's good. That's good. Okay. Da, da, da. Okay. All right. Well, welcome. Welcome to the live broadcast of the parents' meeting. I don't know if you guys are excited about this, but I'm excited about it. I thought we would try something a little bit different, something a little bit new, and so that's what we're doing today. Okay, so it says nope, server can't be found. Huh. Let me see. Let's see if we go to. Sorry, just some people aren't being able to grab onto this link, so just 1 second while I try to. Okay, so YouTube channel. Okay. Click on the live feed. Hi, Nick. Just 1 second, we'll try to get this working here. So. Yeah, it looks like some people have been able to get in to this feed. So there is a little bit of a delay between what you guys are seeing and kind of what I'm saying, just because of the way that the internet works. And so, oh, Paula's in. All right, great. You can see, but you can't hear. Okay, let's see. Let's see that you can't hear. Can anybody else hear? Okay. Just a few more minutes and we can get this going, hopefully. Okay, all right, cool, awesome. Okay, so let's get started. So welcome, welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad that you guys made it. Um, uh, if you would, go ahead and just write a comment down in there to let me know that you are here, who you are, that kind of thing. If perchance you don't know who I am, my name's Eric Tomio. I'm the student minister at Bridgetown Church of Christ, which means I run Bridgetown Church Student Ministries, or BCSM, and today I'm just going to kind of go through what we want to accomplish in BCSM, how we plan on how we plan on accomplishing it, and then just kind of take some questions from you guys. If you have any questions, be sure to write them down in the chat here. That way I can be sure to answer them for you. I'm really excited about this format of meeting, and I can't wait to see how it goes. I know that we've had a little bit of technical issues here at the start of it, so yeah. But let's see how it goes. One nice thing is while I'm blabbing on about philosophy and strategies and all that kind of stuff, if you do have a question, just type it in. If I don't answer it while I'm talking, I'll come back to that and answer it later. Just be assured of that. All right, so BCSM, let me see here. So BCSM exists to support the mission of BCC, which is to love our community and to invite them into a life-changing relationship with Jesus. And we do that by loving teenagers and helping them to take their next steps towards Jesus. Adolescence is a weird time in our lives because the back of our brain has matured, but the front hasn't yet. And so there's the plasticity or the moldability of a child's brain, but the processing power of an adult as well. And so there's the risk-taking abilities of a kid who's perfectly willing to dive into a scary or exciting or risky experience. But also they have the ability to let reason win out sometimes, which is cool. So we here at BCSM, we want to harness those contradictions. We want to give teenagers some freedom to explore, to make mistakes, to ask questions, but also to show them that the truth doesn't fall apart under their scrutiny. So what does that look like for us? Well, when we're doing our job right, it boils down to three interactions that we want to enhance or even create. And those three interactions are parents, partners, and peers. Parents, partners, and peers. So parents, we want to partner with you. This student ministry can only do so much to help your teenager take steps towards Jesus because you are the single most influential person in your child's life. Just by way of example, okay, just a quick way to think about this. If your student comes to church every Sunday and every Thursday, I would see them for about 30 days, 30 full days of their life, which seems like a lot. It's quite a bit. But if you spend even 3 waking hours with your kid in a day, in the next 7 years, you will spend a full year's worth of hours with them. And that doesn't count sleeping time when they're at your house and you're with them too, or extra time on weekends, that kind of stuff. So you, just by sheer number of hours, have a much more of an influence on a teenager than I could ever have. You have the time and ability to interact with your student much more personally, if only by sheer proximity, right? So I want to help in whatever way I can to harness your interactions, to help you lead your teenagers to continually take steps towards Jesus. And we'll kind of talk about how I do that a little bit more later. Um, let's see here. But then there's partners. So parents, partners, right? This is an important interaction that we try to facilitate in a number of different ways. So when I say partners, I mean the partners at Bridgetown Church of Christ. So these are the adults. Okay. So one of the ways that we do that is we have adult volunteers that we call investors, right? And we call them investors because what we want to see them do is not just chaperone our youth events, but really like mentor students and invest time and energy into supporting the teenagers that become a part of our group. But the way we program Sunday mornings is supported in this piece as well. Did you know that there's studies that have shown that there's a direct correlation to the number of adults in a church that know a student's first name to the likelihood that that student will get involved in church after high school? And I think this is for a number of reasons. But the more adults that know our students, the more likely they are to continue in their faith after they move out. So we put students intentionally in the same room with adults because we want to encourage this interaction. Does it always play out perfectly? No. I think that's part of the reason. I think this is part of the reason that this is shown to help students continue in their faith, because it's not perfect. No church is perfect, or no church is perfectly aligned with one's own individual wants and needs, right? There's a level of grace that you have to learn to lean into church. There's also a level of inclusion or belonging that kind of interaction creates. And so when we put teenagers and adults in the same room, we do it for a very specific purpose, to encourage that interaction. So there's parents, there's partners, and then peers, right? We know there's a need for the students to interact with one another, to lean on each other and just be kids together, to have fun together. And so we try to teach students to serve and to influence and share their faith with others through our invite-friendly events that grow our community and our reach, through dynamic midweek programming that we're starting September 13th, and through our student-led small groups. We don't have these yet, but our intention is that we will very, very soon. So talking about parents and partners and peers, I wanted to take a couple of minutes and just kind of let you know, parents, as you're watching this, what I pledge to you, what I want to give to you. The first thing is I want to communicate with you as much as I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some links in the comment boxes here. So the first one is going to be our blog spot, or our blog for the youth group, and this blog is really an important part of what we do here. So it's let me see here, just one second, make sure I have this right. Yeah, it is bcsm513.blogspot.com. bcsm513.blogspot.com. Okay. So I'm going to put that in here, and you'll probably see it before I have even said this. So bcsm513.blogspot.com is our blog. And on the blog, what you will find is a bunch of information. Okay. So what we try to do is we try to update every Sunday what your student is learning in Sunday school, as well as some questions that you can ask them throughout the week during your family worship time, and a challenge for you to do as a family. This week it was to go out into nature and to kind of talk about what it means that God created the world. And so when you go to bcsm513.blogspot.com, what you'll see at the very top of the page is a box that says email. And if you put your email in that box, uh, you will be able to get an email every time that the blog is updated. Every time that the blog is updated, you'll get an email with all of the contents of that blog. So you can read straight from your email, or you can go to the blog and see it there. At the bottom of the blog page, there is a calendar that constantly updates through my Google Calendar for Bridgetown student ministries. So you can see just junior high events, just junior high and combined events. You can see just high school events, or any combination of those three. So junior high, high school, or combined events. And there you'll get the most up-to-date information on when things start, and what they're called, basically. So be sure to go to the blog, and sign up for the email, or just bookmark it, so that you can visit there often. So that's one way that I communicate. Another way is through Facebook. So we have a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/bcsm513. So you can like and follow our Facebook page. You can like and follow Bridgetown Church of Christ's Facebook page. Or you could just friend request me. My name is Eric Tomio. Look me up. I'm got an eyeball picture. So friend request me, because a lot of times I'll throw stuff on my own personal timeline, so that you guys can see it there. So Blogspot, Facebook, the website. If you go to bridgetownchurch.com and you go to ministries, click on student ministry. There's a bunch of information there as well. But then also, postcards, emails. I put information in the bulletins during community lifetime. We make announcements there. We have a communication booth right outside Youth Room 1, communication table, where a lot of times we'll put some flyers and things like that. So be sure to check those things out too. And hopefully, if this YouTube live thing works and you guys appreciate it, we'll continue to do some YouTube live updates throughout the year. I've got one planned for January, so that we can kind of go over our winter schedule, and spring schedule, and keep you guys up to date. So those are some ways that I could communicate, that I feel like I can communicate to you in that way. So after hearing that list of ideas, I was wondering if you guys might have some ideas. What are some other ways that we could communicate to you? What are some other ways that we can get information to you that you need? Throw it out there. If it's, I really enjoy Instagram, so maybe you guys have an Instagram page, or I really enjoy faxing. Go ahead and write down that you want me to fax every piece of information to you, and I will summarily ignore that comment, because I don't even know how to fax something at this point in time. But I want to know some ways that we could communicate better to you. All right, so I pledge that I will communicate with you as much as I can. I also pledge that I will support your goals for your students. Okay, if you disagree with me, that's fine. If your student comes up to me and they're like, "Hey, my parents say that you're wrong about this," I will say, "Okay, that's great. Talk to your parents about it." I might defend my view a little bit and kind of let them kind of wrestle through that, and all that kind of stuff. But I want to support you as a spiritual leader in your family. So be sure and yes. So I got distracted. Nathan wrote smoke signals, and I don't think I know how to do smoke signals. So that's that's great. But yeah, so if you disagree with me, that's fine. And if your student comes up to me and they're like, "Hey, my parents don't think it's that way at all," I will say, "Okay, That's great. I just want to support your role in your family as the spiritual leader in your family. If your student complains to me about you, let me tell you that is a completely normal part of this process. As you raise a teenager, they will get frustrated with you. You probably have already experienced your kids getting frustrated with you, and so that's okay. Um, but if they come to me and they start complaining about you, this is what I will do. Okay, I pledge to you. I will support you 100%. I will listen to them and I will say, man, that sounds really hard, right? And I will ask them questions. So how does this work in your family and that kind of thing, and I'll try to get the whole story from them, and I will listen intently, and I will dig. But at the end of the day, what I will say to them is, if you have a problem with your parents, you need to talk to them about it. Because that's what the Bible teaches us to do when we have a problem with somebody. We talk to them. And the Bible tells us to honor our parents. And so I want to help you honor your parents. So go and talk to them if you need my help. If you want me to go with you to talk to your parents about this thing, I will gladly do that, because I want to support them in their quest to follow Jesus the best way they know how. But I also want to support you as the spiritual leader in their family, to say, hey, listen, I can do so much. I can listen and I can empathize with you. But at the end of the day, as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus, you need to go and talk to your parents about this. So if you are worried in any sense that I am not fully behind you, I totally am. I know, as a parent of two myself, one sixth grader right now, that parenting teenagers, that parenting at all, is hard work, and so I want to pledge my support to you. Um, so that's what I pledge. I pledge to communicate as much as possible, and I pledge to back you up as a parent. What I ask of you is, don't hesitate to communicate with me. If you have an issue with anything that I do, I want to tell you right now that I want to hear it. Okay, tell me, please tell me if you have any sort of concern or comment or question. Let me know. Okay, but don't yell. Be nice. Come to me and gently say, "Hey, Eric, what you're doing here, I just don't agree with it." And let's sit down and have a conversation and just kind of talk about where I'm coming from, where you're coming from, and see if we can't meet somewhere in the middle. Because, like I said, I want to support you in any way that I can. And so if you have an issue with me, just tell me. Just don't yell. Um, if your student has something big that's coming up, like they have like a senior day at soccer, or they have like an award that they're getting, and you can invite me. Let me know about it, because I would love to be there to support them in that. So yeah, so communicate with me. Let me know what's going on in your teenager's life. Uh, and then this is kind of a big ask, um, but make BCSM a priority. A priority over dance, over a band, over Boy Scouts, baseball, school, all of that stuff. Like, make BCSM a priority. And the reason why I say that is because of all of those things, and I might be biased here, okay? I fully admit I might be biased. Of all of those things, it's the most important. Um, and I really do believe this, because our job is to help teenagers take their next steps towards Jesus. And um, you know, what good is an A plus or a scholarship if you don't have a relationship with Jesus? I'm not saying we're the exclusive place that you can find that, or that you can have teenagers there, but really, where else do you have concerned adults supporting your values and teaching your teenagers how to live in a way that honors God. Like that's my viewpoint, and so all I'm asking is you just make it a priority. Teenagers' lives get busy, but you hold the keys to the car, okay? And that doesn't mean, and I'm not saying, well, you have to come to every single thing that we do. That's not what I'm saying at all. All I'm asking is that you let BCSM win more than those other things. When there's a conflict of interest, that you would let BCSM win. And then the last thing is take spiritual leadership in your home. Don't neglect family worship, intentional time that's set aside as a family to read scriptures, to pray, to talk about who Jesus is, etc. Um, Set boundaries for your kids and stick to them. Model what it looks like to follow Jesus. Just all of the things that you can do to be a spiritual leader in your home. And then obviously have realistic expectations. BCSM, like I said, isn't the end all be all. It's your spiritual leadership that will lead your teens to Jesus. We can just help support you in that. So after all of that stuff, communication and making BCSM a priority, taking spiritual leadership in your home, that kind of stuff. Is there anything else that you want to add? Is there any other ways that we can communicate with you, or that you can communicate with us, or anything that I have missed? If so, go ahead and make a comment. Put it in the comment box now. All right, so that's all like the philosophy and strategy stuff, pretty much. Now we're gonna kind of talk about what is happening this year, and I've got to grab my folder real quick. Set everything just out of reach. So, all right. So, boot is the next thing coming up on the calendar, and it happens September 13th, and every Thursday night after that until November 8th. If you can have your kids there by 6, it would be awesome for them to be there, because there's going to be some cool stuff going on. There will be fun videos and video games and ping pong and all that kind of stuff. And so we'll have some stuff going on when they arrive. There will be some videos and things like that. But at 6:15 we'll start with a big group game. So the doors open at 6, but things get kind of rolling at about 6:15. And then we'll move into worship, a 5 to 7 minute talk, and then we'll go into small groups. So basically, the boot concept is kind of two things kind of combined. You've got the programming kind of side, the big game, the worship, the talk, and then you've got the small groups side, where you've got those two things kind of combined into one. And I'm really excited about this, because I think it's really going to turn into like a very dynamic midweek program. It will be relatively invite friendly, and it will initiate our midweek. Or I'm sorry, hold on 1 second. Here. Let's see. Just 1 second. Okay. I just saw the thing that said freeze, and okay, I'm back. Cool. What was I talking about? Yes, I'm really excited about this program, because I think it will eventually kind of turn into the dynamic midweek programming we need. It will be invite friendly. It will initiate student-led small groups. It will kind of check all of our boxes. And so I kind of want to let you in on how all of this is going to work. On the first day of boot, what we're going to do on the first day of boot, the students are going to receive a card that looks like this. Let me see here, make sure that this is going right. Okay, so might be backwards for you, but this is the card they'll receive, and on this card there are the 5 stages of discipleship that we have identified. And if this is backwards, I apologize, but I'm just going to go through it for you. Okay. So the first one is the observer, and the observer is someone who's, you know, they maybe have heard about Jesus. They don't really care. They're not really curious about him. They're just there, right? So that's the observer, and so some of the teenagers might be there, and so they might say at the first thing, okay, I am an observer. Okay, all right, cool. And then the next step is a seeker. This is somebody who is curious. Okay, so they've gone the extra step beyond the observer, where they're curious. They're asking questions. Who is this Jesus guy, and what does he have to do with me, and all that kind of stuff. So that's a seeker. There's a believer, and the believer is somebody who has said, okay, I've asked a bunch of questions, and I really believe this Jesus thing, and I'm all in, right? And then there's the worker. This is somebody who has said, okay, it's not enough to believe. I need to go the extra step and start serving other people. And then there is the discipler. And the discipler's job is to tell other people about who Jesus is. And so the first boot, the students are going to come in and they are going to choose whether they're an observer, a discipler, a seeker, and then they'll get a button. So this is a button. Okay, and they will wear this around, or they'll put it on their backpack, things like that. And on the back of this card, it kind of tells them what they need to do. Okay, so if they choose an observer, their job is to come, to use their feet to come to boot, to come to Sunday school, to come to church on Sundays. Just be around Jesus people. That's the goal of the observer. The seeker is to use their eyes to see. Okay, so the first thing that Jesus tells his disciples when they ask questions about him in the book of John, he says, they say, "Hey, Jesus, where are you staying?" And he says, "Come and see." Okay, so that's what we want our students to do, is to come and see who Jesus is. So that's the seeker. Their job is to see who Jesus is, to start asking those questions, to start being curious about who Jesus is, and really leaning into those questions. Because we hope that if they have enough questions as they wrestle with this, they'll become a believer, right? They'll start to believe the things that Jesus says about himself, that he is who he says he is. And the believer's job is to use their ears to hear, to listen to what the Bible tells them to do, to listen to what we say at boot, to really let those words have an impact on their lives. And so the believer's job is to kind of realign their internals, right? To start renewing their mind, so that they can be transformed, right? So that's the believer. If they continue to do that, they'll become a worker, which means that they'll use their hands to serve other people, to do things for other people. So that could be volunteering at boot. That could be volunteering for the Gateway team at church. It could be a number of things. It could be going to a local soup kitchen and helping them and that kind of stuff. And if they do that enough, then we hope that they will move on into discipler, which their job is to use their mouths to speak. And so they can speak one-on-one with people and tell them about who Jesus is. They can speak up front during boot and maybe give a testimony, things like that. So we are hoping that as students kind of self-identify where they are on this journey, that over the course of those 10 weeks, they'll move up a step. So when they come home from boot, they'll come home with a button, and you can say, "Oh, what's that button mean?" and ask them about it, and maybe they say, "Well, I've chose a seeker because I've got questions still." And don't be like, oh, well, a seeker is not good enough. A seeker is perfectly fine, as long as they are as long as they are working towards who Jesus wants them to be. This is a perfectly legitimate place to be, um, and just encourage them to ask those questions, to use their eyes to see, and all that stuff's on the back of the card there, so you can look at that too. Um, just encourage them in that and say, hey, listen, really ask those questions. I would love to answer some of those questions for you. And if I can't answer those questions for you, maybe I'll reach out to Nick or to Nathan or to Eric and ask them and see if they can't help answer some of those questions for you. Because what we hope is over the course of 10 weeks, as they are working on their seeker stuff, they start to say, man, I really do believe. And so then they will take their button and they'll exchange it for a believer, right? And so if you ever notice your student's button change, um, hopefully it's from seeker to believer and not the other way around, but it can change that way, and it might just be that they maybe realize that they misidentified themselves at first. And so if it does change, just ask them about it. Say, oh, what'd you change to? Why'd you change? What caused you to do that? I see Nick saying that they are encouraging Kyla to invite people. We actually do have invitations on the communication table that they can take to their friends. So if your student is looking to invite people, definitely encourage them to pick some of those up and hand them to their friends. Now, one of the other cool things I'm excited about with Boot is that they will get these the small groups will go into their small groups, but they'll get these cards. And each card has a number on it, and it has some things to do. And what's going to happen is the students will lead their small groups. So they'll pass out these cards. One person will get number one person will get number two, et cetera, et cetera. And whoever has number one leads that part of the group. Whoever has number two will lead that part of the group. There will be adults in them with their groups, but they're just going to be there to make sure that everything flows smoothly, that everything goes well. So that's how we're going to be doing small groups, and I really am hopeful that this will just kind of give the students ownership of the group, and to help them to get to know other people. One of the things that we're going to be doing is if you are in one particular group, you'll stay in that particular group until it gets too big. So if the group gets too big, then we'll split it up, but you'll still be with half of the group that was in your group. So that way we can invite new people in, and they can become a part of the group much more quickly. So that is Boot, and I think it's going to be great. So again, it starts September 13th, 6 p.m. We'll really get things started around 6:15, but there's going to be a lot of fun stuff to do at about 6. So bring your students if you can. Some other things that we're doing this year, we're doing some informal hangout times. We did this last year, just having people over to our house, and so we have a high school hangout on October 5th scheduled, and a junior high hangout on December 14th. We're thinking about maybe doing kind of a potluck around Thanksgiving with students. We did that last year, and it was a lot of fun. But these aren't really planned events. They're just kind of, hey, come and hang out at our house for 2, 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever. Maybe we'll play some cards. Maybe we'll play some board games. Maybe we'll just sit and talk. Maybe we'll watch a movie together, whatever. And these are really good times for the adults and the students to really just hang out, to create some memories and some relationships that way. November 17th, we are planning a trip down to ICOM, to the student ICOM. I don't have a whole lot of details yet. I reached out to the people at ICOM, and it was like, hey, give me more details on the student stuff. What's happening on November 17th, which is the Saturday. It's a 4-day event, and so we're just going to go down on Saturday to participate with what's going on there. So more details will be coming, either through the blog or through the Facebook, through the bulletin, all those communications methods that I mentioned before. So we're going to go down for a day, so be planning on that. And then there's the New Year's Eve dance party, which is a lot of fun. We did this last year as well, We had a blast. At midnight, we started dancing and had inflatables in the sanctuary. We did karaoke and then played some games, and so it's a great time. Be sure to put that on your calendar as well. It starts at 8 p.m. on New Year's Eve and goes until like 12:30 or 1 on New Year's Day. So that is it for the calendar for the rest of this semester. We'll have a winter games in January, but mainly the only thing that you really need to know about right now for next year would be our trips. Okay, so our trips next year, we have 2 for junior hires and 2 for senior hires, and I'm really excited because this year we added the second trip for the junior hires, and I think it'll be really good. So the first trip of both of these is like a 2-3 day trip. So Ignite for high schoolers will be in March, probably about March 7th to the 10th. That's a 3-day trip to Woodland Lakes Christian Camp. That's in Amelia, Ohio, so not too far. And then there's Believe, which will happen February 15th to the 16th. And we're actually going to the one that takes place in Cincinnati this year. The reason is because I think it will be much more economical, and it will help out our costs a little bit. But also, I think it's going to be a great event. We're going to go down, do the CIY thing for Friday night, come back to the church, and maybe play some games, do some fun stuff, and then we'll send the kids to sleep in different rooms, and then we'll get up the next morning and we'll go back at it. So that's CIY Believe. That's February 15th to the 16th. Both of these small trips will be about $100 per student. So kind of keep that in mind, and they happen near the beginning of the year. Believe the deadline will be January 13th for payment. January 13th is the deadline for the payment for CIY online registration forms. So if you tell me that you're going to go and you give me your deposit and all that kind of stuff, I'll send you a link with the registration forms. So the payment, CIY registration form, and the BCC registration form as well will be due on January 13th. So those are the 2 small events. The 2 big events at the beginning of June we'll do CIY Move. It's either the first week or the second week of June. I haven't been able to confirm that with CIY yet. They haven't updated their website yet, but I'm thinking we'll go to Johnson Bible University, whatever they call it now, Johnson, down in Knoxville, Tennessee, which is about 4 hours away. And so we'll go there. We'll do the Move thing, and it'll be great, just like it always is. The second one is at the end of June, and that's for junior hires. And this is a new event for us this year. It's called CIY Mix. It's a 4-day event, and it will take place at Cedarville University, just about an hour and a half away, up in Cedarville, Ohio. Who would have thought? But that's going to be an awesome event. I got to go to a preview last year where I just went and sat in on the worship that they were doing, all the big games that they do, and this event is perfectly geared towards junior hires. It's just amazing. They did this giant game where they ran around in circles and sprayed water on all the kids. They went through a human car wash and all sorts of stuff. It was a great time. I'm really excited about this as well. Now the cost for those trips is going to be about $400 per student. And you might be saying, well, what you just said there is if I send my kid to both of these things, that's going to be $500 per kid that I'm sending out there. And so you might be like, oh, why does it have to be so expensive? And it sounds expensive. It really does. And as I was looking at whether we should do these events or not do these events, it's something that I really wrestled with because I'm a parent of a junior hire that $500 that's a lot of money. Um, but comparatively, as I looked at other things that I've sent my kids to, that I've signed my kids up for, it's not really that expensive. If you go to a Boy Scout camp, it's about $400. If you go to dance for half the year, that's going to be $600. So this seems like a big investment, but it is also, especially the big trips. All of the meals and boarding are included in that. With the small trips, there might be some cost in fast food meals and stuff like that. Uh, but the big events, most of that stuff is covered. So it sounds expensive, but it is worth every single penny. I was talking to Nick about this a few days ago, and I was just like, well, what do you think? Should I do the mixed thing because it's a lot of money? And one of the things he said was, um, it depends on whether you think it's worth it or not. And I really do. I think it's worth it. I've seen lives changed at these events. Every time we go, I see somebody kind of take another step towards Jesus. Sometimes they come back and they take a step back, but I've seen people take steps towards Jesus, and it's been amazing. One of our recent graduates, Jamie Erskine, she uh, she had made a commitment to become a zoologist, and over the course of events, uh, she decided that zoology wasn't what she really wanted to do. What she really wanted to do was social work. The year before that, Jennifer Keyser, she went on a CIY trip, fully expecting to go to UC for a teaching degree. No, it was something else, and she decided that she didn't want to go into a secular school. She wanted to go to CCU, to get a Christian education, um, and so that's what she did. And her boyfriend decided a year later to go to CCU for a youth ministry degree. Um, so these events really do change lives, and I can't stress that enough. And so it is worth every penny. So as you're considering, well, do I want to send my kid to both of these things, to one of them? Let me just kind of give you some things to think about. I would ask, just like I asked you before, to make BCSM a priority. I would ask that you would commit to sending your student to at least one of these events. If it's not both of them, if it's not both Ignite and Move, or if it's not both Believe and Mix, I would just ask, hey, consider sending them to Ignite, or to Believe, or to Mix, or to Move, because they really do make a difference. You can consider making your student pay for part of it. This helps give them some ownership over it, um, and helps kind of keep it a little bit more reasonable in your pocket as well. So if they have a job, or if they do chores and earn money, just say, hey, I want you to save up $100, so that you can go to Mix, or I want you to save up $200 so that you can go to Move this year, something like that, or $50 for each event, something of that sort. Also, if you need a scholarship, don't be afraid to ask. If you're like, $500 would break us, that is not gonna work, or $400 would be way too much, or I can't even afford $100. Like, that's totally cool. Let me know about it. There are consistently people in our church that come up to me and they say, hey, if there's anybody that needs help to go to CIY or to Ignite, let me know. I want to pay their way. So, so there are scholarships available to you, and so if you need in on that money, if you want in on that, let me know. Uh, but also, one of the things that we're constantly asked when it comes to CIY stuff is there going to be fundraisers. This year, there's not going to be official fundraisers per se, but if you do need a scholarship, we would love to have your student work for it. We feel like when they have some skin in the game, it helps them to really appreciate what they're getting. And so if you need a scholarship, let me know, and we'll put your student to work, no doubt about it. They can come in, they can help clean the church, they can help vacuum, they can even help me set up for boot or for another program that maybe we have, maybe the New Year's Eve dance party or something like that. We will work it out so that we can get them to where they need to go. Never ever let money be the reason that you don't send your kid. If that's the issue, just we're here to help. So let us help you. The other thing that I want you to consider as I talk about this is that most of the other things that we're doing are going to be completely free to you. So we're not going to charge, $5 here, $10 here. We're not going to nickel and dime you. There is a possible exception in the summer of 2019 if we do a high ropes initiative or like a canoe trip, but that's going to be minimal cost. So our winter games, our New Year's Eve dance party, our all-nighter at the end of school year, those are all going to be free for you as well. So those are just some considerations for you to consider, and that's really all I have. I appreciate you guys logging in here and kind of moving from one live event to the next so that you could be here and see this. This is going to be posted on our website or on our YouTube channel. So if you have friends that weren't here, make sure you give them the link. Let them know that all this information is here. But I want to hear from you guys. Are there any questions that you have, or any concerns or comments that you have about anything that we talked about, or even just anything pertaining to student ministry? I'm going to go ahead and hang out here for about the next 10-15 minutes. So if you have those questions, be sure to ask them. If not, or if you just want to hang out and ask those questions, I'd be happy to listen to the answers to those questions. I'd be happy to let you know the answers to those questions that other people have as well. So just kind of stick around and we'll see where we're at from there. Okay? Jesus, and we do that by loving teenagers. Want to hang out and ask those questions? I'd be happy to listen to the answers to those questions. I'd be happy to let you know the answers to those questions that other people have. I'm waiting for the feed to kind of catch up with me. Kind of stick around and we'll see where we're at from there. Okay? Jesus, and we do that by loving teenagers. Want to hang out and ask those questions? I'd be happy to listen. Sweet. Yeah, and be sure to pick up the invites for Boot because those are just easy ways to get people to know the information and to come. You're welcome, James, Jamie, Jay. Uh, yeah, you're welcome. So yes, Andy's mission was a little bit different for BCSM than mine, but yeah, we're going with this one for now. I think that it better reflects the students that we have now than Andy's did. I think his was um, his was a little bit more. I don't know. I don't even remember what his was really. It was a little bit more, I think, intense. Um, we wanted to make it a little bit more easy to say, okay, every student in our youth ministry can achieve this goal. Every student can take steps towards Jesus, right? And we will know the results of that more immediately, and we're able to measure those results a little bit easier. Um, and so we did go ahead and change that so that it was uh, more measurable and easier to see the effects of. I think his had to do with lifelong disciples, and I like that. I want to create lifelong disciples, but there we go. Creating community of passionate for God and His kingdom. Okay, yeah. So yes. So okay. So I was totally wrong. Creating a community of students passionate for God and His kingdom. That's a good one. Yeah, I like it. Um, but I wanted to include the parents and the partners in that as well. And so yeah, so ours is to work with the parents and partners of BCC to love teenagers and to help them take their next steps towards Jesus. That's the full mission statement of BCSM. So yeah, thanks, Nick. So yeah, if anybody else has any more questions, I will be sticking around for a little bit longer. If not, you can go ahead and take off. I really do appreciate you guys being here and for participating in this meeting. I look forward to doing more in the future. I think this works well. If you liked it, if you like the convenience of it and it works, you get the information that you need, then just let me know and we'll do it some more. I look forward to doing more. Here's some thunder in the background. That's kind of scary. when you're doing something like this, you have to constantly be aware that you can't like pick your nose or do something embarrassing because really you're just looking at a computer, which you do all the time. But there are people watching you, and so that's kind of awkward and strange, especially when you just kind of start talking to yourself and hoping that the people that are watching this aren't really judging you for what you're saying.